What a wonderful day, because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is now out playing in theaters, and this is one that I wasn't really that excited for until last week because I hadn't seen any Planet of the Apes movies until then. So I watched the entire reboot trilogy on consecutive days last week, and my excitement escalated from being somewhere in the negatives to being one of the most anticipated movies of 2024. I've seen it, and it continues the winning streak of this franchise, this fantastic franchise, but it might be the weakest of the films. Again, I still really liked it. So moving on to the positives, this thing might be the most visually striking movie of 2024, or at least tied with the monumental Dune Part 2. This movie, there are multiple moments in this movie, especially during the third act of this movie, where you genuinely cannot differentiate what is real and what is computer generated. All the apes look fantastic, and the film seriously surprised me with its character work. I straight up love Noah as the new protagonist. He's not quite on the levels of Caesar, but is anyone really on the levels of Caesar? Caesar's one of the greatest fictional characters of all time. So, and his motivations help the audience get entranced in his personality and its goals, and it's just easy to connect with every single character, including May, who is the only human character in this movie. Like, the other films were about the dawn, rise, and war for the Planet of the Apes, obviously. This movie is in the Planet of the Apes. There are 99% apes in this movie, but May is a compelling character and played really well by Freya Allen. Let me just talk about the motion capture, because Andy Serkis delivered one of the best performances in any CGI movie ever in the original, not the original, reboot trilogy. But everyone does such a great job. It's hard to believe that there are people behind this. People performing as these apes, and it's just really, really damn impressive. Though Caesar isn't in this movie, as he literally died in the last century, and even if he didn't die, he would still not be in it because it's like 400 years after. But the amount of presence he has is kind of astounding. The entire movie is built on his legacy and what the apes have been up to since his demise, and I really like that aspect of it. Proximus Caesar is such a great villain. Not Koba level or anything, but the way he's able to manipulate Caesar's legacy and just mind control, not really mind control, but like just control the apes around him and just make them respect him and just love for him like they did with Caesar is such a clever way to introduce a new villain into this franchise. So I'm impressed by that. Caesar's legacy is a character in and of itself because of just how impactful it was, even like generations upon generations after his death. Again, Freya Allen is great. I haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. I think this is the first thing I've ever seen her in, period. But she delivers such a compelling yet vulnerable performance. And I've already mentioned the motion capture work, but like I still gotta touch on it because I mean it's a crime that Andy Serkis was never nominated or even won an Oscar for his beautiful performance. Maybe these movies will get some visual effects love at the Academy Awards, but it is truly astonishing, especially considering that this budget is much lower than most modern blockbusters right now, with like 160 million or something like that. I really like this movie. But let's just move on to the negatives, because I'm hoping this gets better on rewatch, which I'm planning to do in theaters, but it's not quite great. It's unnecessarily long, being the longest Apes film. It has an unbelievable amount of plot threads and storylines that could have easily been cut out of the movie and would have left it with more substance and nuance. As amazing as the third act looks visually, it's baffling just how over the top messy it gets. How it just spreads all its plot lines all over the place. Some people may appreciate and love the slow moving plot, but to me, it just felt like it was setting way too many plot lines up, and most of them didn't even go anywhere. So that's a bummer, because some of them had potential to be their own movies in this new trilogy. It's like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 level amount of plot lines at times. Wes Ball, the new director, brings out some great characterizations, but the overall execution of the plot and lack of urgency really set this one back for me. One that I'll try seeing again in theaters and hopefully up my score after that rewatch. But overall, I'm gonna give this a 75%. Had not a great time, but a flawed but very entertaining time. Just a solid return of this franchise.